everyone, welcome back to a new build video, and this time I have a really fun, really fast-paced build. This was a build that was originally requested by a subscriber quite some time ago, and I finally got some time to actually work on it and make it viable in order for it to be enjoyable across all levels of experience and skill. This is a build that might on the surface look like it is on the squishy side. However, although we are using mostly a cloth set, we do have a lot of survivability built into this in the form of hit points. If you look, we have around 370 health points in the build. We also have about 70%, well, not about, we have 70% resistances all across the board, and we have 35% damage reduction from our armor. But that will also be supplemented with about 30% more reduction through our affixes, as you will see later. Your success with the build, as far as the bosses go, and as you can see in the videos that I usually include while I do these long version intros, will really depend on your level of experience with bosses, with what particular boss that you're fighting. And it will really depend on how well you can avoid the bosses or parry some of their moves and give yourself a little bit of an advantage, because the build will use and take advantage of how strong burn damage is. You do need to be able to dance around bosses a little bit. However, that being said, you will have enough health to take substantial amount of punishment from most bosses, and all the bosses that you see in the videos are done in Pestilence 4. So you will have enough cushion in order to learn bosses and have enough time to heal between the hits and get yourself more acquainted with the build. Anyhow, without further ado, let's get into the build components, and we'll start with the weapons, obviously. Well, the weapons that we're using are the Reibach's claws. These are directly purchasable from Ilaria if you have upgraded her shop to level 2. And then we have tweaked our runes in order to achieve the playstyle that we envisioned with the build. The first rune is, and this is the rune that you will be using more than any other rune in the setup, is Rising Fang. Rising Fang is a really good rune, and it fits this build because it applies burn damage. Secondly, it has an interrupt, so you can interrupt enemies out of their charge attack or their attack animation. And it also gives you a short window of an iframe window during the rise part of the animation. But do keep in mind that you do not have any iframes when you just start the move. So it is easy for you, with the little amount of poise that we have in this build, to get knocked out of the animation for this rune. And if that becomes an issue for you, you can invest in poise increasing runes. But if you acquaint yourself with the build a little bit, this should not be an issue. The second rune is Break Rush. This is your single target massive damage output. It's a 100 focus rune, and it puts out a significant amount of damage. With the reductions, it will be less, obviously, but this is what you will be using when you have a moderate window of attack available to you after parry, or where you know the bosses are going to be resting. Third, you have Tempest Kick. This is a rune that I included to mitigate for the lack of AoE associated with claws and gauntlets in particular. This is not exactly the best rune available, but our options are really limited when it comes to slotting runes into gauntlets, and this is probably the best one you can do at the moment. However, do keep in mind that as far as applying AoE damage goes, claws actually do have an AoE damage built into them if you use your running attack animation, or you attack right after a dodge. And that can be used in order to engage groups of enemies and apply AoE damage right away. Lastly, I have Damage Surge. Originally, I was running Regurgitate on this, which gives you a projectile, and I always try to include a projectile damage, some sort of projectile damage in my builds, especially melee builds. But the problem with Regurgitate was that it would apply plague damage, and you would not be able to apply burn until plague damage wore off, and that was kind of counterproductive with the build. So I decided to go with Damage Surge instead, which gives you a good damage boost all around. For infusion, we have lifesteal, then we have health gain and focus gain on kill, heat infusion obviously, and indestructible unrepairable combo. The headgear, well, the set is obviously themed after Ilaria's, and we're using the empty set. This is a set that you can acquire from your daily quests, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it, you can go with any cloth set. We have on our headgear, on our helmet, we have max health infusion, then we have damage taken decrease and healing increase based on durability. We have focus gain on build up and heat damage, followed by drain health in combat. On the chest piece, you want to go for max health gain again, then you want to go for burn damage increase, damage taken decrease, focus gain increase based on durability, and then we have max health increase by 10% of max focus, followed by drain focus in combat. For your pants, again, another piece of cloth. This time it's infused with stamina decrease, damage taken decrease, and focus gain increase based on durability, and damage increase after a successful dodge, capped off with the indestructible unrepairable combo. For your gloves, you want to go for plate. This will give you substantial boost in your armor. You can go with more cloth, mesh, or leather, and that will put you near the fast weight limit, and if that's the style you want to go for, you can, but do keep in mind that you will have significantly reduced defenses if you do that. So you want to infuse that with focus cost decrease, burn buildup increase, damage taken decrease, and healing increase based on durability, and finish with indestructible combo. For the rings, you definitely want to go with the Stone Tusk ring, you want to go with Agility ring, and you want to go with Jade ring. Jade ring is really good in this build because you will attack a lot and in quick successions, giving you a lot of stamina in return. And on your rings, you'll want to go for plague resistance on all of them, and then split it 3 ways between heat, cold, and electricity. That's it for the build. Let's get to the Crucible, and I will try to show you a couple of minor tips and tricks with the weapon itself, and that should be it. It's a very, very straightforward build. There isn't a whole lot of complicated mechanics involved in here. The only one thing that I can mention is this: burn, damage, fade away kills. Most enemies will die at right around 75% health, unless they have burn damage immunity. These guys, for example, the leeches or the sirens have that, so you cannot apply burn to them. But any other enemy right around 75% health will die to burn ticks. And that's something that you can use. Let's see if I can use the Fang on this guy if he's going to charge at me. So as you can see, targeting with Rising Fang is actually somewhat finicky sometimes. I might say it's a skill thing, but definitely when you get used to it, you'll be a lot more efficient with it. However, that wasn't a really good display from me. Well, that was a good display of your survivability at least. So it always takes me a little bit of time. I'll let you know these videos are unscripted and I just kind of do them on the fly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get into the groove. But I'll try to show you the interruption properties of Rising Fang, and if I can't, I will definitely include some videos at the beginning of the introduction part so that you can see how it can be used. But I'm going to show you the running attack animation, which is what you will use like that to apply damage in a cone in front of you. You can see they're all just dying to burn damage at this point. There you have it. That's the attack you want to use. So you can use it while running, or you can do it right after a dodge. And it gives you quite a large area of attack with your first animation. That was better. See, you can knock them out of that flailing arm animation quite easily. And you should die to burn. This would be forget the name of the rune. What was it called? Something rush. Break rush. One more thing to mention, you do get quite a bit of tracking with your second attack. There, you can actually knock out any enemy and stagger them with your Rising Fang and fall off edges like a goon. Having a projectile rune is really good at helping you deal with the witches and enemies that like to ledge camp, but like I said, I couldn't find anything with burn or just pure physical damage in order to fit this build. Ooh, that was close. Okay, die. Burn in hell. I hate those witches. I cannot even hide it. Don't be too shy to use your Rising Fang. It really doesn't use too much mana. I keep saying mana, too much focus. You're gonna die? Yeah, it's gonna die. So you can see there's a lot of damage built into this build, even without having too many damage boost echoes. You will have an easy time getting through all of your pestilence zones with this, and I don't see a reason why you would have any problem with any of the bosses if you spend a little time getting acquainted with the bosses. I've certainly had a lot of fun with this build so far. Like I said, it's fast-paced, got a lot of damage, and burn is actually really strong against all kinds of bosses. As long as you can do a little bit, do your part a little bit, and avoid some of their attacks. The only problem with these fadeaway kills is that you're sometimes... This was the last one, isn't it? Sometimes when you just walk away from them and they burn, you're gonna have to go back and get your echoes, but if you get that range extension echo, it really helps. Well, this is a good showcase of what the build can do without too many damage boosts. Let's see how we do against this big boy. Cannot kill me. Even when I play like crap. You have a lot of survivability with this build. Don't be too afraid because you are running a cloth set. I took, I think, many hits from him that I usually do not take when I fight him. And I'm not gonna say that I did that on purpose. No, I actually failed a lot of my parries there. But that goes to show that the build, whatever it is that you're running, especially with melee builds, should give you some sort of a safety net. There should be a little bit of a leeway, because we all can miss our parries, and we can all miss our dodges, and the build should be able to make up for these little errors that you might commit. Anyhow, this was the build. I tried my best to showcase the capabilities of it, either by accident or by showing you the different parts of the moveset. Uh, Again, this has a lot of damage in it, has a lot of survivability, and the components should not be too hard to acquire if you're a beginner. Uh, just make sure you have enough health and slot your equipment with as much health boost as you can, and try to learn the enemy movesets. And as long as you can dodge once or twice and parry maybe if you have to, you should be okay with it. Hope uh, this build helps you in your adventures in the Isle of Sakura, and I hope to see you guys all in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.